where he's going to be the keynote speaker for District 25. Please welcome Phil Bendeich.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George. I'm not sure about you, but there's only one question in my mind at the moment. Why is a guy from Australia standing here in Nebraska? Now, I was talking to a couple of people there before, and they said they probably don't get too many Australians from Australia. And you can answer that question yourself. But you might be wondering, why is a guy from Australia standing here in front of you tonight talking to you about something that you can find just about anywhere? And I'm going to share exactly why I'm here. I'm exactly here because of this gentleman over here. He is partly responsible for why I'm here. Not totally responsible, mind you, but partly responsible. And the part responsibility that he's partly responsible for is that he and I were district governors in the year 2010-2011. And George being such a lovely guy, and me being such a pain in the butt, got together at several district international conventions, and we would have conversations. The other interesting thing about is that George and I don our yellow T-shirts and we go walking at 5:30 in the morning, and Glenn has joined us too on previous occasions at the last one. So there we go. I am the president of the 5:30 Walking Club at the International Convention, and do you know what? They have honoured us this year because they're putting on a Smedley walk at 6 o'clock. Not at 5:30, so I'm going to go and do my half an hour of walk at 5:30 and then come back at 6 o'clock and do the Smedley walk. And when Pat Johnson sent me a message and said, can you help me organise the Smedley walk, I said, of course I can, Pat. I'd do anything for you, Pat. Pat Johnson being the convention chair, and past international president Pat Johnson of Vancouver, Canada. I said, of course I would, Pat. Do anything for you. The interesting thing about that is because of George, and when I told George, I didn't ring George and say I'm coming to Nebraska. I sent him an email because we don't talk to people anymore, do we? We just send them electronic devices and responses, etc. So when we talk about that, George said, we would love to have you right here in Nebraska. And I said, well, I would love to be in Nebraska because I've not been to Nebraska before. Well, thank you very much. And I love being here. Do you know why I like to be in Nebraska?
We have great steaks.
That's not the reason. Now, it might be true, but all I need to do is find where the great steaks are, because all I ever see, when I want to go look for food, all I can see is fast food heaven. It happens. You sell too much of it. Not a lot, too much. And I'm from Australia, where, we are the land of milk and honey. We have lamb that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. We have great steaks in Sydney also. We have chicken that is just absolutely to die for. We have fresh vegetables, and our restaurants serve fresh food. And oh my God, can I find a restaurant that serves fresh food here in America, please? The closest thing I've got, and one of my favourite, I'm interested to know why you're laughing. Is laughing because it's true? Oh, okay, good, thank you. I thought there for a second I was going to be in trouble. So when it comes to fresh food, Australia does it so well. We are very lucky. We don't have many diseases. In fact, if you get caught on an aeroplane with food, we lock you up. Or we deport you back to where you came from. So we don't do that. We have a disease-free country. It's absolutely fantastic. So there when I was conversing with George, and I said to George, what can we do? How can I bring some value to the Toastmasters of Nebraska? And he said, well, what would you like to talk about? And I said, well, over the past several, say 7 or 8 maybe months, this was back then, I said, I've been working on this program of helping to develop mentoring in Toastmasters clubs and then taking that material and developing that through businesses so that they can be more valuable, their employees can be more valuable, their teams can be more valuable, resulting in that fantastic introduction, thank you very much, George, so that we can be more valuable people. So, by a show of hands, who loves adding value to people? Yeah, good, you're in the right place. Now, as a child, I thought I was going to be adding value too. Here's how I envisaged value as a child. Interesting enough, I grew up in a working class suburb of Sydney. I've only ever lived in a couple of places, but I've only lived in Sydney. It's the only place I've ever lived. I was born by the age of 10 in 1968, so do the maths if you wish to. Yes, I know I don't look as old as that, but I am. My parents moved from a working class suburb to a quite salubrious suburb. If anyone knows where Strathfield is, it is a hub of wealth in the middle of Sydney. It's a beautiful spot. And it was home to many of the most wealthiest families in Sydney. It was like the place where you went to build a mansion. It wasn't on the water, but that was okay, somewhat that. Probably the most famous resident of Strathfield was the Arnott's family. Now, they were famous because they made biscuits at the Arnott's Biscuit Factory in North Strathfield, just a walk from where they lived. And on a place called Homebush Road, they had a huge block mansion. It had beautiful grounds. It was surrounded by huge, huge fences. And you only got there by invitation. So I wasn't going to get an invitation to go to the Arnott's factory. Yet, at the age of 10, we did move to Strathfield. And in February of 1970, just a couple of years later, we were gifted we were gifted by another brother on the 2nd of February 1970. Yet on the 6th of February, God took our little sister from us. Just 4 days later. By December 1970, we were blessed with another 2 daughters, twin daughters. So there my parents were in Strathfield with 3 children under 12 months old. And me, at the time, was 12 years old. And let me tell you, they didn't have any time for me. Philip, you just go and do what you like, and because we've got all these kids to look after. Actually, it wasn't quite as like that. Philip, you go and do all these chores because we've got these kids to look after. You know what I mean? Chores when you are growing up are important to do. So my chores was to sweep the front veranda of all the leaves, rake up all the leaves in the front yard, weed the garden, paint the house, build a new extension. No. Not quite as bad. It seemed like that. It seemed like my chores were insurmountable. I was just 12 years old. I was a kid. I was free and easy. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to get my new $30 shiny blue bicycle and go riding. I wanted to ride off with all my other friends. Things got a bit tough. By 15, I was peddling drugs in the back lanes of Strathfield. Yeah. It was hard times. The money was good. I was making $5 a week. jumping on my blue bike and going into the pharmacy, Ken Thompson's pharmacy, taking packages of medicine and riding up the hills of Strathfield to the nursing homes and retirement villages so that people could take those medicines and stay alive on my shiny blue bicycle. Now, the reason I had that job and not the best job on a bicycle in Strathfield, which was the telegram boy, because my brother, who was 3 years older than me, he was the telegram boy. Now, I can see some confused looks on the faces of some of our audience. What's a telegram? Well, let me tell you what a telegram is. A telegram is a communication device that preceded telexes. Yep. I can see some confused looks on the faces of some of the people in the... What's a telex? A telex, if you remember, is that communication device which preceded faxes. And I can see some confused looks on the people of the audience. What's a fax? It's a fax preceded these things. Well, I was somewhere the other day, and interestingly enough, I heard the sound of a fax going off. I thought, what's wrong with these people? Haven't they grown up into the 21st century? Perhaps not. So there I was, delivering pharmaceuticals to old people on my shiny blue bike, making $5 a week doing it. The interesting thing, I did that 3 afternoons a week. And on the other 2 afternoons, I played sport. I was a bit of a sportsman, as you can tell. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I played school sport, much like you did when you grew up, and your children, if you have them, just like they did. Of course, the sports were different, right? In Australia, we play cricket. Nice shot, chum. In summer. And in winter, we play football, but not like you play football here. When you guys play football here, you do a thing called a throw or a handoff and a run. Well, that's all very well. But when we talk about teamwork, I think my form of teamwork is better, because my form of teamwork has I'll pass to you, we'll run a bit, you can pass it back to me, I'll go and do something over here, I might pass it over here, and you can run, I might kick it, and then that just continues on. We could have 2 40-minute halves of football where there are no stoppages. Not throw it, tackle, let's stop, have an ad. Okay, so I'm a bit of a fan of American football, no doubt. Except when your game takes 3 hours to play a 1-hour game. What's going on there? Time out for beer. Well, maybe I should get to appreciate your game a little bit more. So our game of rugby, so we play 4 games of sport. Australian rules, which is an interesting game, rugby union, rugby league, and of course soccer, which is the Europeans call football. So you have that here now, right? Just let me tell you, Australia can beat the USA at rugby union. We whip ya. We absolutely whip you. But that's about all we can do. So when it comes to the sport, I was a bit of a sportsman. I love my sport. So after school, I never did any study. It was either sport or delivering medicines, riding my push bike around the place. So I was always having a good time. Until one day, I went to Ken Thompson, whose pharmacy it was, and I said, Ken, I've had enough of this helping people out. These old people don't really do much for me. Well, actually, that's not true. There was one good appreciated. You remember I talked to you about the Arnott's people, the biscuit makers, not scones that you call biscuits. I'm talking about real biscuits, which you probably call cookies. They make the best biscuits going out. In fact, I loved going to the Arnott's house so much because I could always be guaranteed of a glass of milk and an iced Vovo. Now, you're not laughing because you don't know what an iced Vovo is, do you? Does anyone know what an iced Vovo is? I have a prize for anybody who knows what an iced Vovo is. No, an iced Vovo is a sweet biscuit, probably about that size. It has beautiful strawberry jam and then desiccated coconut on top of it. It is a beautiful, sweet biscuit. And I could sit down and eat a whole packet of iced Vovos in one sitting if I was putting my mind to it. So there you go. So therefore I could get that. So when it comes to, where was I?
Ice Bobo.
Yeah, I know. I already ate the ice Vovo, right? Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I went down to Ken Thompson. I said, Ken, I've had enough of this. I'm not interested in helping out old people anymore. I've got enough old people at home to worry about for myself. I'm getting a bit of pressure from Mum and Dad to actually do some study and learn something so that I could graduate from high school. And I said, this $5 isn't enough. He said, well, here's an interesting thing, Philip. You are an important cog in a team. You are the last leg of a worldwide chain of team members that come together and develop and keep people alive. He made me feel about that small of my self-centeredness, because what he made me realize is that I was doing something of great value. And when you do something of great value, you look at that task and that activity somewhat differently, don't you? Yeah. I did, and it completely changed how I felt about the task that I was doing. And somewhat, it has even changed the way I feel about things today. Because here I am in Nebraska telling you this story that might very well change how you guys feel about the things that you do. Okay. So there I was at Ken Thompson's. Can fast forward many, many years and many, many activities and a wide variety of actions. When I put this presentation, we talked about it as called the art of mentoring. Now, it is an art, there's no question about it. It's not a skill that comes naturally. When I spoke to George about this, I decided to change somewhat the focus of what it was all about. Even though it still is an art, and we'll be talking about that, I changed the focus so much that I actually changed the title. So now this title is Lead Your Team from Dysfunction to High Performance in 3 Easy Steps. So what are you going to get tonight? Why have you come here? Could I invite a couple of people to share with the group why they decided to come tonight? Would anybody like to share? Yes, sir. You're not even a Toastmaster. I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
My wife said that this might be a good thing. I'm a massage therapist, and I tutor at the massage school I went to, and I also mentor the students, and she thought this might be a good thing for me.
Good, good. Well, let's ensure that your wife is correct. Well, thank you very much.
Not very often.
No. Now that wasn't very nice, was it? Well, you were going to get a prize, but you're not going to get one now. Well, it depends. That depends. Yes, ma'am.
To increase my self-esteem when talking and dealing with people. I know at work I have to sometimes give evaluations, and so it's sometimes difficult to find the right words and
Yep.
get nervous.
Are you a Toastmaster, ma'am? That's good. You're absolutely in the right spot. So congratulations. So you get a pen. You need a pen?
Yes, thank you.
Give her a round of applause. Before I come back to your question, sir, I want to share something with you. So part of mentoring and the art of mentoring is about building self-esteem. And several years ago, I was asked to give a presentation specifically on self-esteem for one of our district sessions. And I mean, this didn't really kick off the whole idea of this program, but it certainly added to it. So who, now I've only got 5 pens to give out, so don't all jump in, but who can suggest a situation at your club where you have an opportunity to build self-esteem? Sorry? Yes, that's one opportunity, but that's a situation rather than an opportunity. What about when you are speaking? When's an opportunity to build self-esteem? Yes, ma'am? Yes, you get a... Oh, no, you're all right. You've already got a pen. You don't need one. All right, okay, good. See, the fact that you got the answer on the first go was why she got the pen. Yes. And how many times have you seen people who have had their self-esteem stripped from them during an evaluation? Does that happen? I thought that only happened in my club. Does this happen? You have to fix this, Glenn. You absolutely have to fix this. Now, people don't go to Toastmasters Club to have their self-esteem stripped from them. Or do they? Why do people go to Toastmasters clubs? Other than to, I want to help my speaking. Yeah?
They go to have fun. They don't have fun, they're not going to come back.
That's all right. It's the only reason I came back the second time to my Toastmasters meeting, because I was having fun. The only time. The only reason. Not because I necessarily... I had just finished a 9-month trainer presentation course. I didn't need to improve my speaking per se. So it wasn't that. I did specifically, you know, has you ever been in a room where somebody has said, who joined Toastmasters for the leadership? My hand goes up. I'm the only one. I really am. And you're probably, why on earth would you want to do that? And let me share something with you. When I was 11 years old, my parents took me on a little family holiday in summer. I was the captain of my school's under 12 cricket team. I had the captaincy taken from me because of that. I stopped playing cricket for 4 years because of that. I had my captaincy self-esteem stripped from me. I didn't start playing cricket again until I was under 16s. Then I made the under 16 A team, and then I made the open team when I was in high school. So what they call the first 11. Okay, so I was pretty good. I could bowl, I could bat, I could drink beer with the best of them. 16 years old. Oh, sorry. Ooh, did that slip out? So yes, self-esteem is important. And sir, you were going to say something. No, not you, sir. There's sir behind you. Yes. With Brad. Oh, the brand. You got hooked on the brand. Please explain. This is awesome. Could you? Oh, yeah. I know. It's my accent. Sorry. What do you mean by you went with the brand?
Well, like when you buy a Cadillac because it's a brand.
Yeah. So you must have known about the reputation that went with the brand. Is that?
The reputation of Toastmasters to put on a good event around here because I really
Really?
And I want to
Well, you miss out. Sorry. Well, there's an opportunity to redeem yourself. But I've never heard that one. I found out what the brand was all about. I said I've only got 5, and if I give them all away in the first half, I'll have none left. Yeah, well. That is amazing. So with self-esteem, with mentoring, with all of this whole program that works together, it means that we can be more valuable people, doesn't it? So when I talk about if we are leading our team from dysfunction to high performance in 3 easy steps, who loves being in a dysfunctional team? No, me neither. But I do love being part of a high-performing team. And we should be making every one of our Toastmasters clubs a high-performing team. We have the potential. Yeah, what's the question? What's the missing ingredient? I know Glenn, as the incoming Program Quality Director, wants to know what the ingredient is. Who's got the answer? Curry? Curry powder is a good place to start. Curry is good. Curry is good. But what is the answer? Well, there's no one answer. Unless you have it. Oh, yes, good girl. You don't get a pen for that, but that's obvious. Okay. Well, let's discover what we're going to find out. In this workshop, you'll discover why team membership engagement is essential for your success. How to maximise team member performance with proven tools. I didn't make these up, right? I didn't make these up. Who made them up? Socrates, Aristotle and Plato. Not necessarily in that order. Okay? They've been around since Methuselah was a boy. I love saying that. It's one of my favourite names, Methuselah. And the secret ingredient that will transform your team from dysfunction to high performance, and much, much more. We're going to be covering a great deal. Now, when it comes to personal needs, there's probably a couple of things that you have heard of. And, well, I might be able to find a couple of more pens in the break. So there might be a couple of more coming your way. So when it comes to personal needs, has everybody got a handout, by the way? Has everybody got a handout? If you haven't got a handout, sir, there's just some on the table back there. And you might be able to steal one of the pens from back there. When it comes to personal needs, what sort of personal needs are there? Oh, I didn't really get me to this. Well, we sort of covered it. What led me to this platform? Let's quickly cover that. I did what my father did. He was a banker, I was a banker, didn't know any different, I did that. I attended university for 4 years to get a better paying job. Now you probably think, why would you leave a bank to go to university? Come on, ask me the question. Why would you leave a bank to go to university? Because one Friday afternoon, it was in December 1980, I was doing my job as a teller, and a man walked into the bank and he stuck a sawn-off shotgun in my face and said, "Give me all the money." Not a funnest time I've ever had. And the interesting thing was, if you remember December 1980, something particularly happened then. It was when John Lennon was assassinated in New York. And I was thinking to myself, well, if they can shoot John Lennon, who's a world-famous musician who's got lots of money, no one's really going to care about Philip Bendeich. So I put 2 and 2 together and got, get out of there quick. Because it was the days before, bank security and bulletproof glass and all those sorts of things. So I got out of there. And I'm glad I did. I went to university and I studied construction. It was a better paying job. There was lots of opportunities, except when I graduated, there was a credit squeeze and nobody was hiring. So I did some other things. But then, along the way, I started a consulting business, which was doing okay. But then I went to a seminar that changed my life. And the seminar that I went to was hosted and delivered by a fellow by the name of Charlie Jones. Charlie Tremendous Jones. Yeah? You seen him? Know of him? He's passed on now, but that gentleman changed my life for the better. Because what he said to me at that time was that you'll be the same person in 5 years except for 3 things. The people you meet, the books you read, and the places you go. So I set about reading some better material rather than the comics I pick up at the barber shop. I went and met with some people who knew what they were doing and could guide me along the way. And I decided to do a bit of travelling. And let me say that coming to Nebraska is part of that journey, because I get to meet you. Now, I don't read as many books as I used to, but then I watch TED Talks. And for me, a book, TED Talk is a great substitute for a book. I wish I had time to talk more about that, but we'll see how we go. And here I am. I think I'm going to move on. So let's quickly go into step 1. No, I really do need to look at this first of all. So can I ask a couple of questions? Does anyone believe that their experiences influence their thoughts? Okay? Anyone wish to disagree with that? Okay? Because of my experiences, it changed the way I'm thinking, and interesting. So to the next step is your thoughts influence your behaviour. Yeah? Fair enough? And then your behaviour influences your experiences, and as a result of that, we go round in circles. We improve, continuously improvement. So what if you changed one of the equations there? Where does the mentor come into this? Well, for me, like Ken Thompson did as a mentor, your mentors influence your thoughts. He changed the way I thought about what I was doing, riding my bike and delivering medicine to people. He changed that. As a result of that, he changed my thoughts. Now, because my thoughts were changed, your mentor can also influence your behaviour. Would anybody like to share how their mentor has influenced their behaviour? No? All right, let's move on. No pen. What about your mentor influencing your experiences? Whose mentor? Well, my mentor in Toastmasters influenced my experiences because they said, you need to go to a district conference. You need to be there. You need to meet some people so that you'll have your different experiences, your different thoughts. If I had never gone to that initial Toastmasters, what we call a semi-annual conference in November of 2001, did I say November 2001, I would never have met some of the people that I now know and great friends in Toastmasters back in Sydney. So my mentors did that for me. As a result of that, it changed the way I think, it changed my behaviour, it changed my experiences. It allowed me to be the district governor, the region advisor, the speaker for Nebraska on the 12th of May 2017. Our steps follow 3. Design, act, review. Design, act, review. When we design a mentoring program for an organisation, it's just like doing it for Toastmasters. Almost exactly the same. We design what our outcomes are going to look like. We take action on that. We see how that's gone, and then we modify it and we continue. Anybody who's worked in the quality control and continual process management type thing would know exactly what this is. I haven't stolen anything, I've just modified it. So when we design, we need to understand what our human motivations are, what our needs are. Now, anybody knows the Maslow's hierarchy? That's fantastic. Self-esteem sits very nicely in Maslow's hierarchy. But interestingly enough, as I said, TED Talks, there are top 20 TED Talks. And I have watched all 20 of them several times. And one of them in particular I'm familiar with is one by, so they're just some of my mentors. You'll recognise Mohammed Murad from the United Arab Emirates. He and I are very good friends. The soon-to-be international president, Balraj Arunasalam. He and I started go walking in 2008, and he still comes with us. And of course, Mike Storkey, the current international president from Queensland, Australia. So he and I will be discussing mentoring on our Toastmasters mentoring program webinar in June. And since you've left your information with you, I'll send you an invitation to that. As a region advisor, I got to hang with some pretty awesome people. So design. So let's look specifically at design and the need for human interaction. Now, this is according to Tony Robbins, who love him some more, hate him, entirely up to you. But he came up with these 6 human needs. And they're written there. So, certainty. There are things that we need. We need certainty of food, clothing and shelter. That's already written there, which you can understand. We need to know that when we walk home, we're going to be walking through the door, we need to be loved, taken care of, we've got to get something to eat, something to drink, something to meet our needs. That's certainty. What would be the opposite? What's a word that would be opposite certainty that starts with V? Sorry? Variability is a good word, not the one I'm thinking of. Yes? I might have a pen. Oh, yeah, I've got 3 pens. Yes? What's a different word? Volatility. So you have certainty on one side. What do you have on this side? Variety. Variety. So variety is the word that you write in the box there. Variety. So is it possible to have certainty and variety? Yes, but just not at the same time. Okay? So when Tony Robbins talks about these human needs, we love certainty. We love to know that our Toastmasters Club is going to be there, that the President's going to be there, that the VPE is going to write up the agenda, that the room's going to be set up. That is the certainty part. The variety for us at the Toastmasters Club level is when somebody new comes along and delivers a speech. Yeah? Or somebody from Australia comes along to your club and delivers an evaluation. Or something unusual happens. We need both certainty and variety. Unfortunately, there are some people that have a little bit too much certainty and not enough variety. Me, I like to be balanced. I like my certainty, yes, but I definitely like my variety. I can get my certainty because I can go into any Toastmasters club in the world and I know that the program's going to be pretty close to what I'm used to. But my variety comes in the form of different people I've never spoken to before, different speeches I've never heard before, different behaviours, different thoughts, different ways of doing exactly the same thing. That gives me the variety that I need according to Tony Robbins, and therefore I am satisfied. Now, when it comes to you, are you getting too much certainty and not enough variety? I don't know. That's your question, not mine. I can't answer that for you. But I can guarantee that you do need both. You do need certainty and variety. Let's go down to the next line. So there's a word that begins with S. And there's a word, and we have connection. Now you can have this or you can have that. Which one would you like to do? Who could, for a pen? Oh, this is almost a 2-pen. Oh yes, you're going to have another go. It's not spontaneity. I'll keep my pen. Anybody else like to hazard a guess as to what is opposite to connection? Separation is a good word, not the one I'm thinking of. Steadiness is an excellent word, not the one. Single-minded, maybe not. I get to keep my pen this time. It is in fact, the word is in fact significance. See, you would never have guessed that. I would never have guessed that, right? Significance. What does significance look like? Well, I have suffered, and I tell you what, when you have too much significance and not enough connection, it hurts. It hurts. As a region advisor in my district, I had the opportunity to attend my district conference. And even though I wasn't attending as the region advisor, I was still acknowledged. I was awarded significance in the role as region advisor. And it was nice. You know, you almost get introduced first person. Please welcome our region advisor from Region 12, Philip Bendeich, yay, past district governor. You get introduced before just about everybody else. It's pretty cool. But because of that, you lose the connection. See, I'm a connection kind of a guy. I like to be connected to people. I really enjoy sitting down with somebody, having a chat and a chin wag and maybe a refreshment. So I really felt bad, not felt bad, but I just didn't feel the connection when I had all of this significance. It was great for the ego. Then you have to go and do all the hard work, of course. That's the second part of it. But when you have significance, you lose the connection. And we can't have both in equal measures. Maybe some people can, just not me. So when it comes to having either or, you can either have significance on one hand or connection in the other hand. Your choice as to whether you... And this is why I see a lot of people not wanting to progress beyond their club because they lose the connection that sometimes we feel. Is that... Yes, that's true. That's true. But here's the... I'm going to come to a conclusion in all of this. You can. There is an opportunity to do that, but I'll come back to it in a second. So, significance on one hand, connection on the other. Some balance of that is what's important. And the other thing, the next item there is growth. And you can have this and the C word. Who could, for a pen, who'd like to have a go at the C word?
Contraction.
Close. No, growth and, so it's not either or. It's, you can have growth and consolidation's good. It's not what I'm thinking of. Camaraderie, it's a con word, it's a C-O-N word. It's contribution. Contribution. You can have growth and, well, we need to have growth and contribution. We need to be able to grow personally. How do we grow personally? We do the things that we are damn afraid of. We get up and speak in front of people we don't know. Talk about things we don't have no idea about. And then we allow those people to judge us. And judge they will. Just as you're doing right now. You probably maybe might be thinking, how dare he get up there and drink while he's talking? If I don't drink while I'm talking, I won't be able to finish talking. That's okay. That's for me to know and for you to find out. I need to take a lot of medicine. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, so I need to take some medicine. Yes, it is water, of course. I wouldn't so dishonour you by not having water in there. So growth on one hand and contribution. The interesting thing is that we grow as we contribute. Who's had an experience of being in a club or a work situation where you have contributed to something or some person and grown as a result? Who'd like to share with us? Somebody who hasn't said anything so far.
When we wrote the book.
When you wrote the book?
Mm-hmm.
Which book was that?
We had
Art of Grace and Spotlight on the Art of Resilience, and each of us contributed, and each of us grew noticeably so that the other people in the group could see us.
Beautiful. What a great story. You get a pen for that. Very. Oh, really? Well, she spoke up first. Yeah, you get to write with it for a week and then you have to share it around. That's excellent. Yeah, share the love, share the pen. Yeah, so there are plenty of experiences. So if you could think of an experience, you'll have motivation to continue on to develop the growth and contribution side of our needs. We need to grow, and we need to contribute. For those people who have seen people who have not contributed, they don't grow, and what happens? They drop out of society, don't they? Maybe not straight away, but those are the people in your city, just like in my city, who sit on the corner with a little cardboard cutout thing with a pencil written on and say, please give me money. They, ma'am, have lost their self-esteem because they haven't met their human needs of growth and contribution. In fact, quite the opposite. Now, can we help those people? Should we help those people? Absolutely we should. There's no doubt about it. But let's give them a hand up rather than a hand out. Okay? I'm not advocating anything other than that. For the next couple of minutes, I would like for you to grab a neighbour or two and have a chat about some of the other things that you could, perhaps other connections or maybe even other examples, let's say, of either one of those. So let's come up with some examples of certainty versus variety, significance versus connection, and growth and contribution. So for the next couple of minutes, and then we'll have some contributions from you. So let's just go, I'll just do 2 minutes. So grab your neighbour and have a chat about some examples in that. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back. One thing I would love for you to continue to do is to continue those conversations that you had and share your experiences. As you share your experiences, you'll be mentoring people in a short way because you'll be changing the way they think. You'll be changing the way that they experience or shared experiences, and you'll be changing their behaviour somewhat. So continue to do that. So could we have anybody who would like to contribute to the conversation in relation to that? So what, in addition, yes?
Well, I really
Oh, let's stand up. Yeah, let's. Yep.
I'm going to share my card here so she can write the whole of you. And since I don't like turning my back,
That's good.
I'll stand up here with you.
Yeah, please do.
What I really enjoyed was Shauna and I had a wonderful conversation. She's coming up on giving her 10th speech for her CC.
Woohoo!
Yes. And she was asking about acknowledgement. I said, well, at the very end, when you file it with your VPE, make sure that they put in there that you want to have your boss notified. And I said, what is the subject of your 10th speech? And she goes, well, my faith is really important to me. And I said, who brought that faith to you? And she said, my dad. My 10th speech was also about my dad because the title was Talking with You and how he always made me feel special. And I think with Shauna, that could work in for her because it was her dad just brought the faith to her and made her feel special too.
Lovely. Well done. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well done, Marion. All right. Perhaps somebody from over this side who'd like to share. Sir, in the blue T-shirt. That's you, yeah. I'm that kind of guy. I don't wait for people to put their hand up. I just appoint. I'm the VPE from hell. You're in my club. You got to do something.
Well, I talked about the growth
Yep.
talked about how myself, I was a kid that stuttered, and it was hard for me to speak a lot. I didn't talk a lot as I was younger, and as I grew older, I noticed I had the problem because I thought about that whenever I got around to spoke. I spoke for my mom, and I couldn't say what I wanted to. I had everything in my heart as to what I wanted to say, but it wouldn't come out.
Yeah.
And through contributions, putting in to start doing speeches, it helped me. And I've seen growth just through contributions, starting to do the program, the Toastmasters program.
Fantastic. Well done. Thank you very much. And thank you both so far for your contributions to this meeting this evening. It's been very important for us to do. You will grow just a little bit, but that's all you need to do. Just grow a little bit. Move forward. Thank you. Hello. Come on in. Join the party. Yes, sir.
That last thing you said is grow a little bit. That's the importance of going all the time.
Yeah.
Each time is just a little better, and you're going to collect something each time. And over a period of years, you're going to be real smart about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, always go to your meetings.
Yeah.
Do you know, I hate missing out on things. Is there anybody else like me? Yeah? And you, ma'am, you hate missing out on things too? I'm afraid that if I'm not at my meeting, they're either going to talk about me or not talk about me. And that's just as bad when they're not talking about you, right? Sorry?
I'll get voluntold for speaker role next time.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's important for the Vice President of Education to put people in the roles. And people say, what'd you turn up for? Well, I want to be a better speaker. Good. Speak every meeting, whether you like it or not. That's what it is. That's the program. I'm a member of 4 clubs in Sydney, and people would invite me to belong to many more. Many more. The first club, Burwood Club, I joined back in October 2000. The second club, I was their club coach, and I joined that club, and I'm still a member today. That club, I'm not going to say because of me, but if it had folded, we wouldn't have the incoming district director for District 70 for 2017, 2018. We wouldn't have a past district treasurer. We wouldn't have a past humorous speech contest winner. That club has been the spawning ground of leadership and speaking excellence in our district. And that's 12 years ago I was at the club coach. The third club is one I started. That club has been 10 out of 10 for 10 years. In its first 10 years of existence. That's a good club. And the other club is a dinner club, which I go to for fun. All right, so thank you for your contributions. I've still got 2 pens here. How about we give one to Marion and one to the gentleman in the blue shirt.
I'm wife.
I'm
going to get one way or the other. No.
Can you be trusted? That's the question. Yeah. Now, here's the interesting thing. We're going to take a break now. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about trust. So I want you to think about the 4 things you can see there in the act. The trust, edify, adapt, and motivate. I want you to think. You don't have to do it now. But when we come back, we're going to be doing some exercises on trusting, edifying, adapting, and motivating when we come back. If we could do it in about 5 minutes, that'd be fantastic. We'll see you soon. See you soon. All right. So did we get some value out of the first part? Yeah. We had lots of fun and lots of stories, but we got some value out of it, didn't we? Well, here's the interesting thing. You know, I've been around the Toastmasters for a little while now, and I've got a little bit of experience. And when I see things that are good, I like to try and duplicate them. Now, what I want you to do, so that's the front cover. I want you to turn that sucker over, please, and just very quickly have a look at the back cover of the piece of paper. Now, anybody who's specifically familiar with Toastmasters, they would be aware of a document called the Features, Benefits and Values of our organisation. Show of hands, who knows about that document? All right. Now here's something that you won't ever have seen before, is because I created it. Right? I stole the Toastmasters design, and that's okay because it's still Toastmasters stuff. But for those of you who know about the Competent Leader Manual, you'll recognise the 10 projects of the Competent Leadership Manual, right down the left-hand side there. Right? Those are the features of leadership. And you could argue for the next 1,000 years what to leave out or what to add in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We all know that to be a good leader, you have to be a what? A good listener. Thank you very much for that. That's a great contribution. We all know that to be a great leader, you need to be someone who can think critically. We all know that to be a great leader, you need to be able to provide constructive feedback, critical feedback. You all know that each one of those things, and when you get down to number 8, which is about mentoring, you all know that that is one of the attributes of a great leader. Now, there are many other things that make great leaders, there's no question about that. But these are the basic. This is competency. This isn't greatness, ladies and gentlemen, this is just competency. So when you are talking to a person about leadership, if somebody had shared this with me when I first joined Toastmasters, I probably would have joined the first night. It took me 2 nights to join. I would have joined the first night because I wanted the leadership that they were promising me. I want to be a leader. I want to test myself in leadership. I want to catch an aeroplane to a foreign country. Go and talk in front of people I've never seen before. I want to drive a car through several states where the love from one state to the next state is so huge. The love is everywhere between the people from Wisconsin and the people in Iowa. From the people in Iowa to the people of Nebraska. From the people of Nebraska to the people of Kansas and Oklahoma, and the people that the love the people of Texas have for the people in Oklahoma.
That's only true when it's not football season.
That's right, yeah. Well, that's what I was guessing, right? And I want to test myself. I'm a challenger, but I never feel comfortable challenging anybody else until I have challenged myself first. Because I can't do that. I can only challenge myself first. I can expect things of other people, but I can't, just as I expect them myself, but I can expect things of other people before I expect them of myself. But to challenge, you need to challenge yourself first of all. And that's why when it comes to personal development, you need to develop yourself personally before you can then go and develop other people. And if we spent the next 2 or 3 days, it's Friday night, if Marilyn was allowed us to speak for the next 2 days about this topic, we might actually get to understand something about leadership, especially self-leadership. Whether it be delegating, mentoring, or self-esteem, I have to work on myself first before I can be of any value to anybody else. And this is continuously driven home to me when I'm on an aeroplane flying to foreign countries. Because just like you, when you're on an aeroplane and they're going through the welcome to whatever aeroplane company you want to pick, we want you, when you're in, well, apart from United maybe, when you're on an aeroplane and there's an emergency, you put your mask on first before you can help anybody else. Now, why would it be different under any other situation than exactly that?
How are you going to help somebody if you can't breathe?
Well, that's an excellent question. How are you going to lead somebody if you can't lead yourself? That's my point. Yeah? How can you delegate to another person unless you know the delegation skills that you delegate to yourself? You might be thinking, hang on a second, how can I delegate to somebody else? Sorry, how do I delegate to myself? Well, there are ways, and I'll be happy to share those ways with you once we finish up tonight, or after tonight, or into the future. Maybe you want to get home and I get a couple of minutes, I'll be able to share that with you. But when it comes to self-esteem, we can't help somebody else's self-esteem until such time we have taken care of our own self-esteem. We figure out our self-talk is worthy of us, and therefore we can hand that self-talk on to other people. And we're going to be practicing some of that self-talk tonight. Oh, I should have got a couple of more pens when I was up the back there. We'll worry about that later. So, when you are considering being a Toastmaster, a leader in your Toastmasters club, or in any situation, don't focus on the features. Focus on the benefits and the value to you as an individual and to you as an organisation. So when you are talking about the leadership values of our organisation, Toastmasters, speak to the third and fourth column on that program, not the features. Oh, we have critical thinking. So what? Yes, but what does it do? It provides formulating vital questions. It provides well-reasoned conclusions and solutions, and resolve complex situations in a work environment. These are the things that people are faced with day in, day out. We have the things that people want in speaking and leadership. Yeah? Fantastic. So, let's go into the act. The act of... Oh, I turned the sucker off. The act of mentoring. We finished up with that. Step 2 is the act. Trust, edify, adapt, and motivate. I love when I got some information from Marion that talked about Toastmasters empower. Toastmasters empower and motivate, and the other one is together everyone achieves more. Yeah, you're all familiar with that? Well, I'm going to introduce another acronym for team. It's trust, edify, adapt, and motivate. You're probably familiar with some of those words, but we're going to discover a little bit more than just what our definition is. We're going to discover what they mean to me and maybe how they can mean to you as well. Can we do that? Fantastic. So when it comes to trust, who would trust people they don't know?
If you're talking about a surgeon, I don't know them, but I would trust them.
Yeah, you would trust them with, you do trust them with your life. If you had to have surgery, you would trust them with your life, wouldn't you? Now, is it usually that you're laying there on the table ready to be operated on, and the surgeon walks in, "Hi, I'm your surgeon. Ha 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 ha. Having a wonderful day. Give me a knife, give me a scalpel." Does it work like that? Oh, right. Now let me jump into something really political. You may not know, you can't afford health care. No, it doesn't work like that. What happens beforehand? There's a series of consultations. I get to know that person. I was listening to something just the other day that was talking about how people, because if the doctor is likable, they will be less likely to be sued. Yeah? That's got nothing to do with their competency or their ability to cure whatever ailment that you have. If they're likable, they will less likely be sued. Some people will go and even go so far as to say, if you use the right emoji in a text, you've got a funny look on your face, man, but that's okay. You will be more likable and can earn more money. Yeah, well, I'm with you. Lord have mercy. I haven't progressed past the smiley face personally.
different than what you're doing,
What's that?
getting to be friends with us by telling us this stuff.
Yeah? That's true.
We
So
don't
does this mean you're not,
dislike- we don't
you mean you're not going to
dislike
sue me?
you. Yeah. We don't dislike you.
See, there's a reason you're sitting in the front row. I love that. Fantastic. Yeah, it is. It's exactly. So here's the question: do you trust me?
I wouldn't sit here.
You wouldn't sit here. Well, that's good. Well, I'll take that as a given. You trust me.
Yep.
Well, maybe if you got to know me a little bit better, you might not.
I probably would trust you more if I knew you better.
Well, that's probably true, and I'm not disagreeing with you. The important thing is that without trust, we are less likely to form an effective team. Yep. So let's go through some examples. I have some pretty good examples at the moment because I'm working with an organisation that has no trust, no edification, no adaptability, and no motivation. Have you ever worked for a team or with a team like that? Yeah? If you have, I'd like you to write on your piece of paper there those situations when trust didn't exist, and as a result of that trust, that team did not function as a team. Would you like to just make a note of that as we go along? And in fact, as we go along with all of these discussions, just make a note of that because it's important for you to remember your situations. I'll talk about mine, but it's important for you to understand your situations because then when you take that piece of paper back, I want you to share your situations with the people that you know, the people that you're going to influence, the people that you are going to talk to about mentoring, the people that you are going to talk to about building a great team, because that's what you do. You are Toastmasters. You need to take this information back to your clubs, back to wherever you need to share. If you need copies of these documents, they will be provided, won't they, George? Yeah? If you need other information to back up, it's because it's not about my stories, because I'll be gone. Sunday morning, I'm hitting the road, man. I'm gone.
We'll miss you.
Well, I'll miss you too. You may not be you may be surprised to know that when I was working through university, I was so poor. I used to. Well, I'm not saying you're poor, but I used to wear overalls like that. I used to wear my overalls, blue overalls, to university.
I wear it to church.
Well, you probably got the same reaction I did. So when you go back to your clubs and your community environments and even your workplaces and you start to talk about trust, edification, adaptability and motivation, you need to put your stories in there. Don't use mine, your stories. So what is trust? Well, I think there's 3 levels of trust. There's probably more, but I'm going to pick 3. I'll probably pick 4. Now, my dad's not well at the moment. He's actually in hospital. And he's 90. He spent his 90th birthday in hospital. And he's getting better, but he had a fall at home. He cracked his head. He didn't kill him, which is a good thing. And but what happened was his heart gave up. So he took a fall, and now he has a pacemaker. And he also has a bionic ear. He has an ear that's called a cochlear implant. Well, I'm an Australian. We invented it. It's a cochlear implant. Thank you very much. I appreciate you have a different accent on things, a different take, but it's a cochlear. I know where the place is. The place where they invented them is just up the road from where I live. Cochlear implant. So my dad is turning into the $6 billion man, right? Except he can hardly walk, the poor old fella. So we trusted the doctors that they were going to do the right thing, right? When they put a pacemaker in, when they put this cochlear implant. Do you know the important thing about cochlear? It doesn't matter how many thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars that it takes to make a cochlear implant. Do you know what the most important thing is? Turn the sucker on. You got to turn it on. It doesn't work if it ain't turned on. And there's some people you could probably relate to. I know, they don't work unless you turn them on. But that's motivation. We'll get there in a second. So my dad's not well, so he's in hospital, And while I'm over here, my brothers and sisters are powwowing about how they're going to make sure he's okay. So not only do I trust the doctors that work on him, but I have to trust my brothers and sisters, and they're the hardest people to trust, let me tell you. They are a hard bunch of people to trust, especially my sisters. 2 of my sisters have nursing degrees, so I trust that their nursing degrees is going to work with them. But what are the levels of trust? So trust is trust. Is there any greater level of trust than trust? Somebody spoke about hope when I was doing this. I hope this. I trust the doctor. Well, here's something that I'm going to share with you. Faith. Faith, I think, exceeds trust. Yeah? Faith. It's something that I've only just learned on this particular occasion, just not today's occasion, but this talking thing I'm doing. So we have faith, we have trust, we have expectation. For me, an expectation is just one step down from trust. Yeah? And then one step down from that is assumptions. And there is sort of another one to step down from that. It's knowledge. My son is 22. I taught him how to drive. I gave him the knowledge of driving. For me, by giving him that knowledge, he has to go and then use that knowledge of how to drive a car. I'm glad I'm here while he's driving around. It means that I don't have to... So when we assume things, what sort of assumptions? Well, some people say that you trust people on the road, and because of that, that's trust. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit not sure whether it's assume or expect people to take that knowledge and work with it. And you'll have a different experience, so therefore you can share different things about that. So whether it's assumption, just knowledge or expectation, or come up to this level called trust, and hope and faith. They're all different levels of trust in mine. But I'd like you to make your notes about what level of trust you have in people. The interesting thing is that I hope that, well, I'm sure my dad hopes that when I get, or when he needs it, we'll give him food and wipe his bottom just like he did for us, and we'll return the favour that he gave us when we were children. So I'm fairly certain, I have faith that that's going to happen. All right, what about edify? Is anybody prepared to share with us what a definition of the word edify is? Yes, ma'am.
Favorite word.
It's one of your favourite words. It's definitely one of my favourite words. Yes?
It means to build up.
It does mean to build up. Can you give us an example?
Encourage, give positive.
Yeah? Can you use it in a sentence?
Which one?
Edify. Or either.
I think it's important to edify the, or to use the word I used earlier, during evaluation. I believe that if you give your feedback to the speaker, I think it's important to edify them. So don't just say you did a horrible job, but note something positive and build them up that way.
Yeah, okay. There's many practical examples, and we're going to have a practical example of that edification right this afternoon or this evening. Sir, did you have something to add?
Recognition.
Recognition is good, yeah. I think it goes beyond that. There's a particular example of edification I want to share with you. So could I have, is anyone a current district director in District 24? Oh, oh, Marion, would you like to come give her a round of applause? Of course it's a setup. Are there any current area directors or incoming? Yes, I would love to see an incoming area director. Do we have any of those? Yes, give her a round of applause. All right. Oh, we've got a couple. Hello, what's your name?
Linda.
Linda. See? Linda, thank you very much. Now, look at this situation. We have the district director, we have an area director, and I'm going to play the role of the division director. Okay? Okay, I was the division director of the year, so I know what I'm doing. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to use the power of edification to have Linda do exactly what I ask her to do. Now you might think, well, that's a bit of a novelty. Well, it is definitely a novelty. But see, the important thing is, because I'm building a team, so as a division director, you know that a division director has a team of area directors, right? Okay, so which division are you going to be in, Linda?
D31.
D31. So I'm the Division D director. I can't do it with anybody else but my team of area directors. Now this can be applied in any situation, in a wide variety of applications to build Linda. It's not going to look as though it's going to be for Linda's benefit, but it is absolutely for Linda's benefit. So come with me over here, please, Linda, and Marion, if you just stay over there for a second. Your services will be called upon really soon. She is definitely significant, and interesting you say that. I'm going to use her significance to impart influence on Linda. This is how it goes. Linda, you're only a new area director. You probably don't know many people, but there's a special person I'm going to introduce you to. This lady is very experienced. She's a great team leader. She really knows Toastmasters, and as a result of that, I've been able to get a couple of minutes with her for you. So let's go and meet this lady now. She is a district director. She's been an area director that you've been. She's been a division director like I've been. She's going to have a couple of minutes with you. So come on, let's go and meet her.
Hi.
How are you?
Linda. So
I
watch.
love the accents here.
Watch this. Linda, this is Marion, our district director. Now, I was just saying to Linda a couple of minutes ago how important it is that a new area director gets off on a great foot. So I can see someone down there that needs me. I'm just going to leave you two together for a second. So you just stand there. I'll just duck off over here. Now, while I'm... Yeah, and while you just go with the flow, and then I'll come back and we'll evaluate how she did. No, just rather than speak to Linda, you need to speak to the audience, please, Marion. Speak to the audience. No. Well, it is. It's just hard to have a private conversation with 40 other people in the room.
What as an area director do you have questions about? What's your greatest fear? Let's start there.
I don't know if it's my greatest fear, but it's probably my greatest concern coming in. People aren't trusting, so they're struggling.
That is always a challenge, and I'm going to share with you an experience that I had when I was an area director. All 4 of my clubs, January 2nd, only had 2 or 3 educational awards. Now, we're always trying to get everybody to just 10. What I did was I decided to challenge them, a high-five challenge. And I promised them they would receive their name on a plaque, whoever could reach that goal the quickest and with the most. And what was really fun is this ended up empowering the club, that they saw this little bit of challenge that bragging rights for its sake. Everybody loves bragging rights. And
That's very good. That's good. That's enough. Thank you very much.
oh, you bet.
Yes, I'm back, yeah. Great to see you. Come on, I'll take you over here now. All right. Thank you very much, Marion. That was tremendous. All right. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Okay. When I did this and I briefed the district director before, they did a pretty good job. But you know, we don't always get things right. We don't always do it the best way we can. And what happens? We usually learn as a result of it not going so well. Did Marion do anything wrong? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And because I didn't brief Marion, she didn't really know what my purpose was, what the intent of all this was. Now, here's the thing. When you are edifying someone and you take them to someone, obviously Marion didn't hear what I had spoken to Linda about over in the corner there. Now, what I would love Marion to have done was to edify me back. So, if you could come up here, so Marion, you're going to play the part of Linda, and I'm going to be the district director. Okay. So, okay, well, love you to meet you, Marion. I must admit, I was a little scared when I came into area director, but do you know the most important thing? You need to stay connected to your division director, and that division director over there that you'll be working with, he's fantastic. He was one of the best area directors that we had. And if I was you, I would listen to what he has to say, because he has your best interests at heart, and as a result of that, you will enjoy yourself more, you'll get more done. The clubs that you're working with will be so much more powerful and productive. You're going to have a great year as an area director. Cool. Lovely to meet you, Marion. Yeah. Please sit down. Okay, so what was different?
Mutual admiration society.
It's somewhat of a mutual admiration society, but with a purpose. But with a purpose. See, what I did, when I was playing Marion, all I did was edify back to the person who needs to be listening. That's going to be the person who is influencing. So when Linda comes back to me next time, she has been advised and directed somewhat by Marion that she should be listening to what me as the division director is saying. Therefore, isn't it going to be easy for me to guide Linda in the path where she needs to be, and that I want her to be, and that Marion as a district director wants her to be? That's, while it's a mutual admiration society, yeah. No, well, not supposed to be. No. We need to find genuine traits in those people that we can edify. It's not, oh, this person is a wonderful person. It's like a whitewash evaluation. Doesn't do anybody any good. And there might be some people around who would find it difficult to find edification in. If they are a Toastmaster, if they're an area director or a division or district director, they are worthy of our admiration, or at least our edification. It doesn't matter if they're the worst dresser, if they don't know their left foot from their right foot on the dance floor. It doesn't matter. If they are a Toastmasters leader, they deserve the edification that we can provide. So find something of genuine value in the person, and then acknowledge that privately, and then allow that to, okay? Now that, for me, is an excellent way to use edification over and above the evaluation discussions that we've previously had. Right? Okay, has anybody got any questions on that little exercise of edification? No? Good. It's a complicated little exercise, but truly valuable. Thank you very much. I gave you a pen, didn't I, Linda? Yes, I did. Fantastic. All right. Adaptability or adaption. Adapt. Let's think about adapt. How do we adapt? Well, something extremely important is on the horizon that we need to adapt to. And what's that called? It's called Pathways, okay? So isn't it surprising how for the past 5 to 7 years, Toastmasters has been on this incredible growth journey with Toastmasters outside North America. So we're growing in excess of 30%, our organisation, outside of North America. And I'm thinking, what are you guys doing? Are you not adapting? I'll leave entirely that up to you. But if we don't adapt as a team, if we don't adapt as Toastmasters, we'll never be able to provide all of the services, the programs, the enrichment of what we're really looking for here. So when people ask me what is my opinion of Toastmasters, what would you expect me to say?
Thumbs up.
Definitely. Adapt or die. And there's been plenty of examples of exactly that, hasn't there? A couple of years ago, I was practicing, I was having a shot at delivering this material I went and spoke with 17 Rotary clubs in Sydney, in the Sydney area. And every time when I talked about adapt or die, the exact same example came up. And I've got a pen for anybody, for this person who can think of, what is the name of an organisation that did not adapt and is no longer here? Who? Don't they exist? They're still.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's good. You're on the right track. Yes, you get to pen. All right. Congratulations. Well done. Yeah, Kodak. In the late 1990s, Kodak had the world, I think it was 95% of the world's photographic paper business. Within 5 years of not adapting, they sold out. They didn't exist anymore. Who's got a Kodak mobile phone, Kodak camera, a Kodak roll of film? Maybe because they're sort of coming back to, yeah. Now, what could they have done to adapt? I don't know. But the digital photography age is here. Yeah? They could have done so many things. They didn't adapt. There are other corporations. Who's got a Nokia phone? What? Yeah, used to. I had Nokia phone after Nokia phone, but they didn't adapt. These things have taken over. Love them or hate them, I don't care. But no, Nokia don't have the world's... What about watches? Yeah? Who's got a Swiss-made watch? Yeah, we all have watches. I'm not talking about watches. Yeah, I'm a bit old school when it comes to watches. You have a Samsung GR2. My God. But what about the Swiss watchmakers of the 1970s? The Swiss watchmakers almost went out of business because they didn't adapt. The Japanese came in and created the digital watch technology. Took them a little while. They went from 80% of the world watch market down to about 20% before they did adapt. So they've come back as a result of that. But there's an organisation or an industry that didn't adapt, and as a result of that almost went out of business. There are plenty more examples. So maybe, how about you write down on your piece of paper something about your Toastmasters club or even your business where you work, of whether people are adapting or not. So where I work, one of my consultancies, they always exclusively worked in construction in high-end, very expensive schools in Sydney. There was plenty of work. For the first 30 years of their existence, there was plenty of work. Interestingly enough, their business started to go down. They didn't adapt. Someone decided that while there's no school work, there was heaps and heaps and heaps of high-rise residential. Right? Sydney is going through an extremely broad, high-rise residential. Now we've totally changed the mix of the business to gone from high-end schools to high-rise residential. It's gone completely swapped over. 90% the other way. We're doing one school at the moment out of 8 projects. That's projects, not projects. Sorry. Someone made a joke about that the other day. Okay, so think about adapting. If you don't adapt, you may not be here tomorrow. If the district doesn't adapt, if the club doesn't adapt, if you don't adapt, do something differently than the way you've always done it. Give an evaluation that the speaker would be proud of. No more whitewashes. On the other hand, give someone that they could get some value from. Not, No, not so critical every time. Adapt, do something differently. Get some value out of it, give some value. And the third one is motivate. Wow. You know, I was so much enjoying laying in bed this morning. I didn't want to feel like getting out of bed and going for that 5 or 7 kilometre walk that I like to do. Well, I managed to do about 5 kilometres just walking around the car park of the hotel I was staying at. It was huge. That was huge. But I did. I got up, put my gear on, went for my 6 kilometre walk in an hour. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Something I miss. So I've continued to somehow find this self-motivation. Once again, if you can't motivate yourself, how could you possibly expect to motivate anybody else? Well, there are a couple of ways, interesting enough. Who's ever heard of McClellan's 3 motivation keys? Somebody over here tweaked. I've heard this somewhere before. She's saying to herself, where have I heard that before? And I know exactly where she's heard it before, because it was a technique that, as a region advisor, we were given to share with the district leaders a couple of years ago to help them understand their team members as to what motivates them. So as a leader of a small team or a large team, you need to understand what motivates you, but you also need to understand what motivates your team. And specifically as a district director, and having program quality directors and club growth directors, what is their motivation? Has anyone done the McClellan's motivation analysis? No? I've got a pen here for anybody who can. I've got 3 pens. I've got more than that to go, but I've got 3 as to who and what you could possibly expect could be in McClellan's motivation program. What do you... Sorry?
Recognition.
Nope. Not recognition. You'd think it would be, wouldn't you? It's not. I beg your pardon? Oh, cool. What's that?
To encourage and...
No. Achievement. You've already got a pen. Yes, achievement. Yeah.
Oh no, I gave it to her.
Oh, really?
I did.
Didn't I give you one?
You did.
So you got 2 pens now.
She wanted me to feel special.
But you are special.
That's
There you
it.
go. All right. Achievement. Who's motivated by achievement? Yeah? Maybe you don't know that you're motivated by achievement. So here's one thing I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share you a link to McClellan's motivation analysis. So you can determine whether you are an achievement-oriented person or not. I'm not an achievement-oriented person. I can achieve, but that's not what gets not my blood going. Okay? So who'd like to guess what else?
educational opportunity.
Oh, that sounds like a really boring thing to say. No, but it's no, it's not. But it's somewhat like achievement, isn't it? Education opportunity. So is that an achievement?
Not for IT professionals, that is 3 top things.
They want to be educated?
They want more educational opportunities. They have
Oh, right.
gain.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because it's a constant moving thing. It's a constant adaptation, isn't it? So they have to stay motivated.
Achievement is
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll go with it. I'm not an IT person. I utilise IT. Yes, any others? Who else? Encouragement, yes. That's the reward, but it's not the motivation. Yeah.
Constant acquisition of knowledge. So being valued, is that the same?
Being valued.
Is the same as achievement then, right?
No, it's not. No, not according to McClelland, it isn't. Okay, anybody hazard a guess? No, that's not a motivation. It's more basic than that. It's money. No, it's not money. Surprisingly, money is not a motivator. Very close. Acceptance by what or whom? Yes. It's association. I get to keep a pen. Association. That's one of the motivators that we all have. And according to McClelland, yeah, association with other people. Yeah. Do you see that in your Toastmasters club? People who just like to come and hang out with other people without necessarily achievement. So their motivation is not to achieve the education goals that we know and love, but it's just to hang out. It's to be with.
They're the clubs that have 30 members and no education.
Probably. Why do you ask, George?
Trying to learn.
You're trying to learn, that's good. Yeah. So yes, it probably is. Yeah, 30 members, and they love to hang out with people, and they talk with each other regularly, and they're always there early, and they stay late because there's people around, and they're motivated by the association of other people. That's the second of McClelland's motivations. Now, if you know me more than what you probably do, you might be able to guess the third one. You'd probably have to know me from a small child to really know.
They want to be Australian.
Let me tell you, everybody wants to be an Australian. And if you can't be an Australian, you have to meet one. It's power. Power. Not necessarily any driving force other than to have the power. If I had another hour, and I don't, I'd be happy to just share with you a little bit of my childhood and its experience and how I came to understand that power was my motivation. Maybe if you want to stick around afterwards and perhaps buy me a refreshment, I'd be happy to share with you. George knows it has happened from time to time that I have enjoyed a refreshment. And being an Australian from a German background that started somewhat the Australian winemaking industry in Australia back in the 1850s, or descendant from that, you probably understand my motivation much more. Now, we're coming into the last 5 minutes, so I'm going to leave the most important part for the last 5 minutes, right? Okay, so the last of it, what did I learn? So this is not what did I learn today, this is what have I learned, or what did I learn from the first two parts? What did I learn from the design and the act? What did I learn from my motivator? What did I learn from my self-delegation? What did I learn from my trust? Did I have my trust broken, or was it valued and taken seriously? What did I learn from all these things? Without reflection, there's no growth. That's why without evaluation, there is no growth as a speaker. That's why the slap across the face as a leader that's the learning. What did you learn as a result of that? I don't mean to, not talking literally slapping across the face, but anybody who George and Marion know, and Glenn's about to know in a short period of time, that as a leader in our organisation, there'll be people that'll be only too happy to give you that slap. Maybe not literally. Am I right or am I right?
Oh, you're very right.
I'm usually pretty right.
Yes.
And I can say that specifically because I have been where they've been. That's the only reason I can say that, Glenn. I don't talk about anything else other than what I've done. All right. So what did I learn? Why did I learn it? Yes, to grow. But what specifically was there that allowed me to learn it?
Just somebody else about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody else.
Yeah, I've somewhat self-correct. I'm not really good at self-correcting. I'm much better at correcting other people. Yeah, I have that ability to find fault in just about anybody on earth. But at the same time, I can deliver that in a particular way that's accepted by them and will help them grow and contribute in the future. So that's somewhat why did I learn it. What would I do differently? I've been working with some people, and we asked these questions. So, in fact, I was interviewing for some particularly important positions, and I asked these people, what lesson did you learn as a result of what you did, and what would you do differently, and why would you do it differently? And some people struggled with that question. So that tells me a couple of things. They didn't learn anything in particular, and if they did learn it, they didn't understand what they learned. And that's the growth part of what we talked about with those 6 growth and contributions. Yeah? What advice would I give to another person doing a similar role? Patience. Don't do it. Not the role, just don't do. You know, I love having. I'm the guy that will go boots and all into something and learnt that I did it wrong, and then I'll go back and go, well, I could have done things differently this way, and if you were coming along with me, if I was sharing some information about what I had done, I would say, don't do it the way I do it, because I did it all wrong. And I probably didn't listen to my mentors as much as I should have because I did it wrong. But you have a choice. We always have a choice. You can do it wrong like I did, or you can learn from what I did and do it better. I think sometimes doing it wrong is much more funner. Maybe you're like me. You know, you just do things for the fun of it.
But did you do it wrong, or did you take a different direction just so you could learn it?
Sometimes both, sometimes neither. I identified some issues in our district at the time, and specifically around district governor, as it was called, that was not sitting well with me. And you remember when they talk about core values of integrity, respect, service and excellence? It wasn't happening. I couldn't put my hand on my heart and say our district leaders, not our district, but our district leaders were not following the 4 core values. So I had to make some big calls, and I had to make some changes, and not everybody was happy with that. And I'm okay, because I was always able to justify every decision because there was a document, a Toastmasters rule that would allow me to do that. Yeah? To run the district leaders need the district leadership handbook and the policies and procedures manual and the contest rule book. No other. That's the way we do it in this district applies. Heard that one before? Probably heard it at work as well, but that's the way we've always done it. Okay.
I got a question on these 3.
Yep.
Interrupt you.
Please do.
Would you say that association is second rather than first?
Association.
You got achievement, association, and power, the 3 motivating things.
Oh,
I think association is first.
it's not one or it's not first, second, and third.
Oh.
It's these are your three. These are the three options. Yeah, yeah. And according to McClelland, who's done quite a bit of study on the subject, has identified those people generally fall into one, sometimes more, but generally one of those three motivations. Yes, Frank.
And again, I think on the ear because you went past the point.
I'm sorry.
They said, why did I learn it? Okay, to me, it's a subjective question, and it's not more like you want to, how did I learn it, which is more objective. How did I learn to do these things, as opposed to why? Or should that be a fifth question?
Maybe it's a fifth question, but I put in why did I learn it? Is it because somebody banged it into my head? Did I learn it because of that?
That's a how to me.
Oh, that's more of a how to you?
Because I was in competition or challenged, so I wanted to cooperate or I wanted to get power or competition.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be a wide subjective question.
Okay then. All right, I'll defer to you on that. I'll defer to you on that. And you know, this is one of the great things about delivering this material. That remember when we talked about mentors, you know, change thinking, change behaviours, change experiences. This is exactly what we're doing here. You know, I'm not just, to a certain extent, I'm hopefully changing some of the way you guys think about things or what you do, but you are also helping the whole of us to develop. So thank you for that. Oh, is that beer o'clock? Well, it is for me. And I want to, first of all, they say never say thanks, but I do want to thank you for giving up your time, for investing yourself enough that you find this valuable information, for your contributions and for the growth that you will be expecting and working together with people as a result of this. So I'm going to hand it back now to George, and he's going to have some final things to say. Thank you, George.
Thank you, Philip. Job well done. You know, Philip, I really thought we were going to talk about mentoring, but I think you just did a workshop on how to mentor and be mentored, and it was a very great thing. Can you come up for a second, Scott? The videographer has got to have a couple of comments. So please welcome Scott.
Philip gave us the honor last night. We had our Toastmaster meeting for off-site Toastmasters last night, and he stepped in to visit us. And Miguel and I were trying to think of something we could send him home with that wouldn't be too difficult to get on the plane. And it's a tradition in the military to hand out coins. And we went and found this coin that has Nebraska on it with big N and the aircraft that commonly fly for the office mission. And on the back is the seal of U.S. STRATCOM and some other things that I don't know because I'm not military. But I'd like to give you this coin.
Oh man, that's awesome! Thank you.
As a small token of our appreciation. Thank you for.
Well, thank you very much.
For visiting us in Nebraska, and then there's also a little stand. That you can
Oh
sit
wow!
on this for.
Oh, awesome!
So remember us, and thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank you
Scott.
so much for coming.
It's been a pleasure. Well, I'll tell you, not too many Aussies will have one of these sitting on their desk, will they? Thank you very much.
Well, let's give Philip one more big round of applause.
Thank you.